G'day, viewers and listeners. It's Ed Fox, Nashville2, another episode. Let's tell your story. You're Nashville2. You guys are making things rocking and happening in Nashville. And guys, help me welcome my special guest, Terry Lancaster.
Hey ho, how y'all doing? See, I'm from here.
I've got a soundboard with the little applause key. I can do kids cheering for you if you like. Yeah. It's Terry. Hey, Terry. So are you one of them unicorns I've heard about? Are you a Nashvilleian?
I am. I'm born and raised, baby. General Hospital on the banks of the Cumberland River.
Okay, that's another applause. So I'm glad you're my first one on the show. So whereabouts in the Nashville area growing up? Did you guys move all over, or did you?
No, I was pretty consistent. I lived in East Nashville, and East Nashville is kind of where all the cool kids want to live now. Okay. But they're only there because I left. When I left there, East Nashville was not where the cool kids wanted to live. It was, and parts of it was a war zone, and it was definitely the wrong side of the river.
Okay, you don't say the wrong side of the tracks; you say the wrong side of the river.
It was the wrong side of the river.
Gotcha. So tell me what are some of your favorite memories of Nashville growing up, and are any of you like your favorite haunts still around?
I'm trying to think of, so we used to, I was just had dinner. It was my mom's birthday the other day. So we were out talking about where we used to go when we were kids. And we went to the Western Sizzlin'. That was our big place. That was our big Friday night to go to the Western Sizzlin'. They're not around anymore.
I was always confused when I got here from Australia, not here to Nashville, but just in the US in general. There was Ponderosas, which I thought maybe was a Bonanza spinoff. There was Western Sizzlin'. Yep. There was a Bonanza, which I thought, aren't Bonanza and Ponderosa the same thing?
You would think.
It's all very confusing to me. So Western, we actually ended up getting a Western Sizzler in where I lived in Australia, actually. A few years ago.
And we'd go there when I was a kid. They had baked potatoes. The baked potatoes were like this big. They were the size of your face, man. And you can load up on those. I think
it was because you were a little kid that it all my candies and stuff seem to have shrunk as I have exploded.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like to talk about on Nashville2, the whole idea is that, there's lots of stories to be told in Nashville. When you have a metro area, I'd say around 2 million people. I haven't done any research. I don't have a research team. I have to do it all myself. Yeah. So I would say it's somewhere around 2 million people. There's lots of stories that are never told, right? So tell us a little bit about your background and your story. And I've met in person. We've talked on Zoom. You're a marketer extraordinaire. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then just step us through some highlights.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Nashville. I went to Stratford High School, graduated from Stratford High School over in East Nashville, again, on the wrong side of the river. And I'm plenty old, Ed. So I grew up in Nashville in the 70s. We were still in the midst of the Cold War. And if you could do algebra, you had to be an engineer. So they sent me off to college. Okay. They sent me off to be to college to be an engineer, which was a pretty big deal for me because no one in my family had ever graduated from college. I've had more members of my family go to prison for murder than spend time on a college campus, and that's the God's honest truth. So they shoveled me off to college because I could do basic math. And put me in there, said you're going to be an engineer. Turns out that engineering, I thought it was like a mad scientist stuff. You had with chemicals and you were locked in a laboratory. But engineers are basically mechanics who have to work together and play well with others and fix things. And I'm not much of a thing fixer, and I'm more of a solo guy than a play well with others. Right. But So I gravitated to the radio station. That's where we had a radio station. I was at Tennessee Tech, and I ended up running the college radio station for a couple of years. I got to be this is in Cookeville, so about an hour outside of Nashville. Went to Tennessee Tech and ended up running the college radio station for a couple of years. Then got a job as a top 40 disc jockey to pay for my last year or two of college. I was a primetime Kelly Michaels. figured out that the people who worked at radio stations, and we had some great radio stations in Nashville growing up. That's why I went into radio. We had KDF, which is now now a country station. 103 is the country station. But when I was growing up, 103 KDF was the hard rock station.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. And that's what we all listened to. And we had some great disc jockeys there, and they were really immersed in the community. Carl P. Mayfield and Patty Murray, some of the names from back then. And so I got into radio because of them. But when I actually went to work at a radio station, I figured out that the people behind the microphone weren't making any money. For the most part, disc jockeys aren't that well paid. And I looked around the radio station I was working at, and the only ones driving new cars were the people selling advertising.
Right.
So the minute I graduated from college, I went to work at a radio station owned by a company here in Nashville. They used to own 104, which is now a talk station, but it was a top 40 station back then, Kicks 104. They sent me to Tupelo, Mississippi to work in radio and sell advertising. So I moved 200 miles away from any human being I'd ever known to go sell advertising in Tupelo, Mississippi. And I've been writing copy and marketing for 37 years since then. Now 34 years, that's my math, 34 years since then.
That is awesome. That's a great story. Yeah, and I'm the same boat. I've done commission sales all my life because I found that I didn't want to be limited on income, and it was the best way to make good money. I'm a 9th grade dropout, right? So I started my first business at 15, opened a convenience store in Australia, did $100,000 in 1983 in this little country town. And then after 5 years, we're doing $500,000 a year. Mum and Dad came in after the first year, said, "You're killing yourself. You need to let us help." I said 60-40. I got the look from Mum. She said, "Nah, 50-50. I said, "Okay, fine." So, but that sort of story too, right? Like, I like the guys that are putting in the hard yards, and I really respect. I've met a lot of people in Nashville. Everybody I've met has been wonderful. One little old lady got upset with me because I stole a grocery cart, and then I did something else wrong, and she's like, "Bless your little pea picking heart," or something like that. I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much." My wife goes, "That's not what she means." So, but I was talking about that on the last episode actually. But so tell me, do you have a favorite? We like to talk about maybe hidden gems around Nashville, whether it be food, whether it be art, whether it be just something to do. People around Nashville that may not know something in your area. What's some of your favorites?
Well, I tell everybody from out of town that if you're coming to Nashville, come talk to Terry before you get here. I got two requests for people visiting Nashville. Come talk to me. I'm going to tell you where all the best places to eat are. I know where all the fried chicken is. I know all the good stuff. So talk to me. I'll take you out to eat. We'll have a good time. Number 2, make sure you leave when you're done, because we're full. We're full. We don't need anybody else moving here. I'm glad you're here, Ed. I love you to death, but don't bring anybody else. We're full. You were saying we had 2 million people. When I was growing up, Nashville had about 600,000 people. And so we had the best interstate system in the country. We had 3 interstates connecting, and it was perfect for 600,000 people. For 2 million people, not so much.
Yeah, that's my tip. Stay off the roads.
Yeah.
We need a public transport system. We need light rail. We need a few different things.
Yeah, no doubt. But hidden gems. So fried chicken. Anybody coming into town, you need to go eat at Arnold's down on 8th Avenue. Arnold's got it's got Southern cooking. It's soul food, great fried chicken. The thing in Nashville, everybody's big on the hot chicken now. Right. Well, the hot chicken, the original hot chicken was Prince's, which was over in my neck of the woods in East Nashville. And so I've eaten there, but that was kind of a localized thing. And hot chicken got to be a marketing thing. Hattie B's really invented the hot chicken marketing concept, and they've done well with it. So here's my pro tip. Okay. If you're coming to Nashville and you've heard all about Hattie B's hot chicken, and you drive by Hattie B's, and there's a line out the building, around the door, around the building, and halfway around the block, and they tell you it's going to be 2 hours before you can get inside and eat you a chicken wing, you don't have to do it. Little known fact, there's a little restaurant out in Cool Springs in Franklin, Tennessee called Bishop's Meat and Three. And Bishop's Meat and Three was started by the same guy who started Hattie B's. The B in Hattie B's is for Bishop's. They sell the exact same fried chicken at Bishop's and you can get, there's never a line there. You can go in, get in, out of there in 20 minutes. But you don't get the wall for the picture for Instagram like you do at Hattie B's, but the fried chicken's pretty good.
Right.
So there's,
I'm going for the food. I'm going for the food.
There's your pro tip.
Well, good. That's a pro tip. Now, so for the locals that didn't know that, although they should all know that, but if they didn't, maybe they live in Hendersonville and they've never been down to Cool Springs.
Yeah.
But it'd be worth the trip, right?
So yeah, it's good stuff. Good fried chicken. Ate there last week. Now
we were talking a little bit before the show. You and I have a passion for a pastry called a donut. Yeah. Like, do you have a favorite donut place?
So again, this is well, I grew up in East Nashville on Gallatin Road. We had Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme was all I ever knew. And so if you're new to town and you drive past a Krispy Kreme and the hot light is on, stop and get you a donut. Get you a Krispy Kreme from Hot Light. As I grew up, I realized that maybe there was more than hot glazed donuts. A hot glazed donut from Krispy Kreme may be one of the best things on earth, but there's other things. We were talking about the Bavarian creams and Creamfield. I discovered Dunkin' Donuts and Dunkin' Coffee as it is now, got really into those. But there's a little place, a little company. It's actually a food truck. They don't have a standard setting in Franklin called Ellie's Old Fashioned Donuts. And I go to the farmers.
ELLIES.
ELLIE''s Ellie's. I believe that's the daughter of the gentleman who started it. And they show up at farmers markets and around town. I go to the farmers market on Saturdays at the old factory in Franklin, and there's always a line for Ellie's Donuts as well. But
my last guest just talked about the Franklin farmers market too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Ellie's, what's the name of it again?
Ellie's Old Fashions. So they have old fashioned donuts and cinnamon sugar donuts, and they make a great big apple donut. And they have a maple donut. They have maple donut, make you smack your mama. It's good stuff.
I am enjoying Fox's Donut Den. I can't think about where it is in town. Somebody took me to it. I don't know enough about Nashville, so I'm just looking it up. Yeah. But Fox's Donut Den, and he makes these huge donuts. If you want to do it for a party, like a birthday cake.
Oh yeah,
like an 18-inch donut. That'd be a fun contest to do. Like put 4 guys in front of each of their own 18-inch donut and say, okay, you got to finish it, and we'll give you a little trophy or something, But
I might have an advantage on that. I'm a big old boy and I can eat some donuts.
So 3900. Hillsborough Pike number 2. I don't know if that means something to you. Doesn't mean anything to me.
So is that in Nashville? Hillsborough Pike goes all the way from Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee, 37215.
Yeah, so it's probably
Fox's Donut Den. No relation. Yeah. But I've met the owner, Norman or Norm. I don't know what he goes by. Australians, we shorten the name all the time, so it'd be Norm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I bet that's Hillsborough Village over by Vanderbilt.
Okay. That's what I'm learning. That's why I'm doing this show, so I can learn these things. Like, you guys have all been a wealth of information. I'm like, I can't just let this go. I need copies of this to go back to and refer back to. So what about for people that may have lived in Nashville all their life? Are there any secret hangouts or secret things that, if they've not traveled to your neck of the woods, that you know about that they may not?
Yeah. So I love to walk. We have an amazing park system all around Nashville, and there's we have the Percy Warner Park and Edward Warner Parks, but there's a place called Radnor Lake. It's in the very south end of Nashville, and it's got a little lake, and you can walk around the lake, and it's got some trails that go around the hills. Little known secret: if you're walking the trails at Radnor Lake now, if you're going right now, it's forest, there's woods, it's forest, and the wildlife are pretty tame there because they're used to people. So I've had deer walk up within 10 feet of me, deer and turkey walk up in 10 feet, take a look at me. But if you go sometime later in the year, sometime between November and March, when all the leaves have gone off the tree, you get to the top of the trail at Radnor Lake. It's probably the best view of downtown Nashville.
Oh, really?
You got the skyline there behind you. That's
Yep.
probably it's one of my favorite views of the skyline in Nashville. You got to hike up the hills, and you can only go in the fall when all the leaves are off the tree. But they got a bench sitting right there, and if you know to go, like I said, but it's only there between November and March. But if you know, it's worth the trip.
Okay, that's some good advice, and we'll put the details of this stuff in the show notes, folks. So you don't have to be scrambling, looking for a pen while you're driving or watching this on your phone or something. We'll have it in the show notes so that you can check it out. So Terry, tell us a little bit. How do you make a living? How are you helping people around Nashville?
I help people all over the world, to be exact. I've got clients in Australia, Ed. So I've been working on insurance agents and real estate agents from Australia. So I've done that. But I'm a marketing strategist. I'm a copywriter, and I'm a storyteller. I told you a while ago that I was working in radio. Went to work in radio selling ads, and one of the first companies I had to call on, Tupelo, Mississippi, was Friendly Ford, Tupelo, Mississippi. And I walk in, fresh off the boat, couldn't even grow a beard then, can barely grow a beard now, but had my shiny new fake leather shoes and my shiny new fake leather briefcase. And I went in and I was going to sell this man some advertising. And he told me, he said, son, I don't want to buy any advertising. And I said, man, I got the best station. We got all the listeners. He said, son, I done told you I don't want to buy any advertising. And I kept on, and persistence pays off, right? And he kind of reached down and pulled back his jacket like that's where his holster was. Said, boy, I done told you I'm not buying any of your dang advertising. You need to get out of my store. And that's what I did. But I went across the street and I sold the Mazda dealership and made them the number one client of the radio station I was working for. Yeah. We ended up, they did so much business, and Ford didn't do any business, that Ford took the franchise away from that dealer. I've never seen Ford take franchises away from any dealer. And when they put the new owner in, I went in and sold him the advertising. So I got really excited about automotive advertising. I made most of my living for the last 30 some odd years creating ads, radio and TV and newspaper and direct mail for car dealerships. Over the years, I've gotten into doing some of that for other types of businesses. I write a lot of web pages for companies around the world, whether, like I said, insurance agents and real estate agents, and working. I think I told you I've got a client in Dubai who runs an entertainment company. He's got a couple of nightclubs and a couple of entertainment venues, and I write all his web pages and websites. And I was doing all this stuff for him, never really met him. We did a Zoom like this, and I was expecting, someone of Middle Eastern descent, and he popped up and it was, hey, how you doing, mate? So he was an expat from Australia and moved to Dubai and started this entertainment venue. So I do all kinds of marketing, and I do work a lot in social media, training people to use social media and do a lot of the stuff that you do, networking and shaking hands and kissing babies and strengthening those connections, so that you're not completely dependent on people just walking in on the street. You got a steady funnel of people coming in. So I do training and advertising and marketing. Right. Yeah. That's the short answer.
That works. I'm getting a lot of people requesting of me to do mastermind groups, right? Yeah. Multiple business owner. And I love giving back. I love sharing the wealth of knowledge, especially, you and I have both made a bunch of mistakes over the years that's cost us probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, easy.
But we can share those mistakes. We can share those things that we've learned with other people, either starting out in business or asking questions. And so I'm thinking about moving into some masterminds, just because I'm getting asked so much. I'm sure you've been involved in some masterminds.
Oh, sure.
In the past.
Yeah.
Yep. So if somebody wants to reach out and contact you, Terry, what type of business clients? You talked a little bit about cars, you talked a little bit about marketing for a bunch of different people. I would say that with your knowledge, you could pretty much market anything from a florist to a big manufacturing company. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, marketing's marketing. It's all people business. So So I deal with anyone. I tell people I'm looking for, my kind of sweet spot is I like dealing with small businesses. I'm a solo guy, and I don't like the bureaucracy and structure. So I've never been really great dealing in super corporate things where there's 15 layers of people who got to do this. So I'm looking to connect and maybe do some work for small business people, for people who own their own business. I love entrepreneurs. I love that mindset. They're my people. I can talk to them. So I'm looking for entrepreneurs and small businesses. Specifically, there's my word for the day. Specifically, I'm looking to meet maybe marketing directors for a small business. Maybe they got 10, 15 employees. They're big enough to have a marketing director, but they're not big enough to have a budget for them to do all the stuff that they want to do. And they definitely don't have the time to do all the stuff that they want to do. So a lot of the writing and content creation and ad creation, I'm looking for them to farm that out to me. So marketing directors for small businesses, marketing agencies are the same way. They have a marketing agency and they need a stable of people who can create these things and create the content and do the stuff. So I'm looking to meet those. But any entrepreneur who has a story to tell and is looking for a better way to tell that story, I'd love to have a conversation with them.
Awesome. And what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So I'm easy. I am the easiest guy. Well, I'm easy. That's a whole nother story, Ed. We can get into that.
Yeah, that's a different show.
Yeah, but I'm the easiest guy in the world. If you want to find me, if you want to find Terry Lancaster, go to Google and type in Terry Lancaster. It's going to tell you everything you want to know. It's going to pop up right there, and it's going to tell you exactly what I told you. He's a marketing strategist, a storyteller, freelance copywriter, and how to get in touch with me. I have to be careful who I borrow money from, because there's no way I'm hiding from the mafia.
Right.
There's not a place on this planet where I can go and hide from, because if you want to find Terry, you can find Terry. Go to Google and ask for Terry. And if that's too much work, terrylancaster.com.
Okay, Terry. Yeah, everybody can Google. Google's our friend these days.
Yeah.
My kids ask questions. I'm like, Google's your friend. Get on, do that. We didn't have that back in the day. We had to get the World Book Encyclopedia down off the shelf. I had a friend that I was at a dinner party one time, and he said, I didn't know Albert Einstein was Australian. I looked at him and I thought he was joking, right? And I looked at him and I said, Albert Einstein is not Australian. Yes, he is. I read it in my encyclopedia. So it's gone back a few years now. I said, and it's at a dinner party, right? I don't want to embarrass the guy. It's his house. It's his house. So I'm like, no, I think you maybe read it. It's Austria. I think Noel. It wasn't Australia. And he said, no. And he's getting really loud. And everybody else is like looking embarrassed, because we all know it's Austria.
Right.
And so he goes and gets his World Book Encyclopedia and puts it down and like says, look right here. Austria.
I hear they got a heck of a symphony house in Vienna, though. So that's
there you go. And some sausages, I think. Oh no.
The funny thing was when I was a kid, I grabbed those encyclopedias and I would go over to my aunt's house, and she had a real nice set of encyclopedias, and I would grab one every time we went to her house. I would read a different letter. So I just read my way through it. And when I got out of college and first started in sales, the library was my best friend. We didn't have Google. And if I wanted to know anything about anybody, I had to go look it up, in the Thomas Book of Registers or in old newspapers. So I did my best prospecting at the public library for years and years and years.
Yep. Well, and I still use their InfoSys. You can log in with your library card and download the data, and it's pretty cool. So people shouldn't. I'm a big bookaholic, and you've got a book too. What's the name of your book? I
have three, Ed. 3 number one bestseller
Overachiever.
I am. Let me grab you one here. We got my first book. This is my baby. It's called Better: Self-Help for the Rest of Us. It's about
That's
giving
not
up
you on the cover, is it?
That is not me on the cover. That is a $5 piece of stock photography, and I have never, ever, not once shown this book to someone that they didn't say something about the cover. Right. So that's the best $5 I ever spent. It's about giving up on the pursuit of perfection and just being who you are better. You and I, we've been entrepreneurs for a long time, been kicking this around. Ed, what would you say your failure ratio is?
80.
Yeah, I'm 80, 85, 90. All my brilliant 80 ideas, 80, 90% of them are crap. Just so if you're interested in being perfect, you'll never make it as an entrepreneur, because you got to shovel through a lot of bad stuff to get to that one idea works, but it only takes one. So quit trying to be perfect, just try to be better. And I've written a book for the car business called How to Sell More Cars. and written another book for small business people called Unstuck, Breaking Through the Barriers to Small Business Growth. All of them are available on Amazon and at terrylancaster.com.
Cool. I'll tell you my quote. Failure is a comma, not a period.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, I haven't heard anybody else say that. So I'm claiming that. So like if anybody finds that, that's an original Ed Fox right there.
Yeah, we got it on video right
That's
here.
right.
We got
That's
proof.
right.
We can go back to this.
Failure is a comma, not a full stop or a period. In Australia, we call them full stops.
Yeah.
So yeah, because you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, turn yourself around and get going again. There was a Christian group called the Goads from the 80s that I heard, they said a man who walks by the side of the road turns himself around, picks himself up, dusts himself off, and starts all over again. And I thought that lyric was pretty brilliant because really, we as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, we reinvent ourselves all the time. And now all these kids out in the gig economy, right? Yeah. Your Uber drivers, your Lyft drivers, your Uber Eats, your Postmates, whatever gig economy is out there. They're all doing that. They're having to learn to reinvent themselves almost daily. And during COVID, a lot of our business owners have had to reinvent themselves.
Yeah, I love taking Ubers because every Uber driver I've ever met, they've got some gig. They've got some gig. Yep. So that's first thing I ask them. So what's your real gig? What are you trying to do? What do you drive an Uber to support? Right. And they all got music. They all write a book. One guy was selling antiques. They all got something, and get them started talking about that. It's one of my favorite things.
I love it. I love the entrepreneurial attitude. That's one of the things I love about America. I say I'm Australian by birth, but American by choice. Yeah. And I'm a Nashvilleian by choice. I mean, I've lived in Wichita, Kansas for 30 years. Kansas and Tennessee have very similar freedom attitudes. But we're excited to be down here in the Nashville market. And that's why I'm doing Nashville too. And I'm going to talk to the viewers and the listeners. If you know a business owner that needs to be promoted, if you know a nonprofit that is working their butts off and making Nashville better for everybody, if you know a mentor, if you know anybody that we need to have on the show, have them reach out. They can find us. Go to Nashville2.com. It'll take you straight to our Facebook page. We don't have a fancy website. I do know a freelance copywriter that could write us some good copy for that website.
We can work on that.
That's right. But Terry, it's been great having you on the show. If you could share one more piece of business wisdom, what would you share?
Well, that's my favorite piece of business with them. Failure is a struggle to push through. And here's my number one advice for anything about everything. The only way to do it is to do it. You can talk about it all you want. You can make plans. You can go to business school. You can have the 17-point deck. You can have everything in the world. My favorite quote in the world is Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face. Boom. So your plans are great. Make sure you think ahead. But at the end, you got to jump, baby. The only way to do it is to do it, and understand that 8 out of 10 of them are probably going to fail, but
don't be afraid to think of ideas and put them into action.
There's always another one.
Especially if they don't take a lot of money, just do it. What's the worst that could happen? You lose $100, you lose $1,000. Yeah. For some of us, I remember back in the day when $1,000 was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Actually, come to think of it, it's still a big deal.
I get irritated if I lose $1,000 today.
Right. But I could drop $100 on something. And I always think people need to understand that if the chance that this $100 expense could turn into a $10,000 return, it's well worth investing $100 that you're going to lose, because 90% of the time you're going to lose it. You only got to have them come off 1 out of 100.
Yeah. One good idea is all it takes. And so many people, just like you've got your podcast. And I talk to a lot of people, I'm going to start a podcast as soon as I get a good camera, as soon as I get a better microphone, as soon as I lose the 30 pounds. So I look good on camera. My camera keeps
chucking us out of focus. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Nobody. That's my other bit of advice for new entrepreneurs. I was talking to a buddy of mine, just started a new business a couple of months ago, and he said, I was always afraid because what happens if it fails? What will people think? And I don't. I said, here, I'm gonna give you the best secret. Nobody cares. Right. Nobody cares whether you fail, whether it succeeds, whether you show up or don't show up. It's all on you, and it's all about you. Nobody cares, and so the only way to do it is to do it.
Right. My dad used to say 3 frogs sitting on a log. They all decided they wanted to jump off. How many are left? 3. Because they made a decision, but then they didn't take any action.
Yep.
So I tell my kids, look, run at something that you want to do 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Based on the information you have today. You might get down 20 miles down the road and you go, yeah, no, I don't want to do this. Well, now you've got new information, turn. Like you're moving so you can turn easier. Or based on the information that you then get 100 miles down the road, go in a different direction. Whatever it takes. Don't be afraid to put that one foot in front of the other.
There you go.
So, hey, good having you on the show. Good talking to you. Hang around for a second. We'll catch you later.
Thanks. Good day, mate.
Yeah. Hey, well done.